There is this incredibly universal, just uniquely painful moment in real estate. Let's say it's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Right. You've been driving clients around literally all day. You've put out, I don't know, 3 separate fires about a delayed appraisal. You haven't really eaten dinner. And now,
Now you're staring at the screen.
yes, you're sitting at your desk, staring at that blinking cursor on a blank white screen.
Mhm.
And you are trying to summon just an ounce of creative energy to write a captivating property description for a perfectly fine, but let's be real, totally average 3-bedroom home.
It is the absolute definition of professional exhaustion. I mean, you're sitting there trying to figure out how to make a standard, maybe slightly overgrown backyard sound like a private oasis.
Yeah, exactly.
But your cognitive battery is just completely drained at that point.
That is the exact feeling. Or, you're piecing together neighborhood research with like 15 browser tabs open, trying to draft an email that delicately walks a seller back from the ledge on their entirely unrealistic pricing strategy.
Which is so draining.
So draining. And hanging over all of this daily friction right now is this heavy cloud. There's this pervasive fear in the industry that artificial intelligence is coming for your job.
Yeah, it's the headline anxiety everywhere right now. But we need to dispel that myth immediately because that fear fundamentally misunderstands what AI actually is.
Right.
It is absolutely not coming for your job. I mean, think about what real estate really requires. AI cannot sit across a kitchen table from an emotionally attached seller and have a sensitive, nuanced conversation about why their childhood home isn't worth what they think it is.
Yeah, totally. It definitely can't walk into a property, smell a damp basement, and just sort of sense that something is structurally off before the inspector even pulls into the driveway.
Exactly. It has no intuition.
And it certainly can't pick up the phone at 9 p.m. to save a deal that's falling apart because a buyer suddenly got cold feet.
No, it can't.
So if we strip away the science fiction anxiety, we're left with a very practical reality here. AI is coming for the parts of your job you probably hate doing anyway.
Yes. It's coming for the blank screen. It's coming for the endless data parsing, the repetitive follow-ups, and, the hours spent synthesizing market reports.
Which sets up our mission for this deep dive today. Think of our time today as a high-level coaching session, tailored specifically for you.
100%.
The goal is to transform you from an overwhelmed, overworked real estate professional into what we call an AI-augmented agent. We want to give you the ultimate competitive edge by returning literally hundreds of hours a year to your life.
Giving you your life back.
Yeah, allowing you to focus purely on what actually moves the needle, which is building human relationships and closing deals.
And, to achieve that transformation, before we even touch a single piece of software, we have to correct how you view the technology itself.
It's a mindset thing.
It's a fundamental mindset shift. You have to
Yeah.
stop looking at AI as this looming replacement and start viewing it as your tireless 24/7 operational assistant.
Right.
We do this by separating your daily work into 2 distinct buckets. You've got the irreplaceable and the automatable.
Okay, so the irreplaceable bucket, that's you. You are irreplaceable when it comes to building trust and reading the room.
Absolutely.
Like you're the one understanding a client's unspoken needs when they walk through a house, hesitate in the hallway, and give their partner that specific look. That high-level emotional intelligence is entirely human.
Right. And the automatable bucket is where AI excels. These are the left brain analytical tasks. Answering factual questions, synthesizing dense market data, and producing consistent marketing content at scale.
Let's put some real numbers to this to just show the impact.
Yeah, let's do it. Think about that property description you were staring at in our opening scenario. Manually, writing, polishing, and formatting. That takes a good 30 to 60 minutes.
Easily. Sometimes longer if the creative well is totally dry.
Oh, for sure. But by utilizing AI, that process drops to maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You are saving 30 to 50 minutes on a single listing. And when you start compounding that across every email, every newsletter, every piece of research throughout your year, the time savings become totally transformative.
Here's a way I like to visualize it. Think of AI like a highly capable sous chef in a high-end restaurant.
Oh, I like that.
Right. That sous chef chops all the vegetables, reduces the sauces, gets the station perfectly prepped, and does all the heavy, repetitive lifting.
Yeah.
But you are the executive chef.
You're running the kitchen.
Exactly. You still taste the dish, you adjust the seasoning, you plate it beautifully, and you are the one who actually walks out into the dining room and presents it to the client. The AI preps the ingredients, but you serve the meal.
That analogy holds up perfectly, especially because it highlights who holds the ultimate responsibility. You maintain the quality control, the AI just accelerates the prep work.
But realizing that we need to direct a sous chef highlights a new friction point. The barrier here isn't coding. I mean, you don't need to be a software engineer to use these tools.
Thank goodness.
Right. The barrier is communication. You have to translate your real estate intuition into clear parameters that a machine can actually understand.
Mm.
And it really comes down to mastering 5 core skills.
Yeah, and those 5 skills are the foundation of everything we're going to teach you in this coaching session today. They are prompting, research, drafting, summarization, and idea generation.
Now, I want to push back on that first one, prompting, because I think it trips up a lot of professionals. Isn't prompting essentially just what we already do with a Google search? Like I type in what I want, I hit enter, and I get an answer. How is this fundamentally different?
Yeah, that comparison to Google is probably the biggest trap agents fall into.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Google is a transactional one-way street. You put in keywords, it spits back a list of links, and you're entirely on your own to open them, read them, and synthesize all that data yourself.
Which takes forever.
Exactly. Prompting, on the other hand, is an iterative collaboration. Because these AI models actually retain the context of your conversation, you don't just search once.
Okay, so if you ask the AI to write a property description and it gives you something that sounds like an overly enthusiastic robot wrote it, you don't just scrap it and start over.
Not at all. You reply to it just like you would to an assistant who missed the mark.
Ah,
You tell it, hey, shorten this to 100 words, make the tone much warmer and more conversational, and make sure you emphasize the mountain views from the primary bedroom.
so it revises it based on your notes.
Exactly. It revises the text based on your critique. You coach the AI back and forth until the output matches your personal voice.
That makes a lot of sense. You don't throw the carrots away if the sous chef cuts them too thick. You just instruct them to dice them smaller next time.
Perfect way to put it.
And that iterative communication feeds directly into the second skill, which is research.
Right. Research is where you leverage the AI's ability to parse massive amounts of data instantly. Instead of hunting through municipal websites for an hour, you prompt the AI to find specific current information, like recent changes to a local school district boundary or zoning variances in a specific zip code.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Which leads right into drafting. This goes back to our 9 p.m. Tuesday scenario. Drafting isn't necessarily about getting a perfect final product. It's really about defeating the blank page.
Yes, getting past that initial hurdle.
Right. It's outsourcing the painful friction of creating an email or a listing description from scratch.
And sometimes, you don't need to create something new. Sometimes you need to understand something massive that already exists. And that is the 4th skill, summarization.
Oh, this is a big one.
Real estate is just drowning in dense paperwork. Think about a 40-page HOA covenants, conditions, and restrictions document. Reading that cover to cover to find one specific rule takes hours.
Right, like if my buyer drives a branded plumber's van, I need to know right now if the HOA allows commercial vehicles parked in the driveway overnight.
Exactly.
So I can just use summarization to extract that specific meaning from the massive text.
You direct the AI to act as a filter, pulling out only the clauses relevant to commercial vehicles. It takes seconds. And then the final skill is idea generation.
Which I love because AI doesn't get creative fatigue.
Never. If you need a fresh marketing angle for an open house, it can generate 50 brainstormed ideas in 10 seconds.
And let's be honest, 45 of them might be terrible.
Oh, totally terrible. But those 5 good ones, those are angles you never would have considered when you were exhausted.
But, okay, knowing these 5 skills immediately raises a logistical issue for me. If you're talking to the AI, you have to make sure you're talking to the right AI.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you wouldn't ask your sous chef to fix the restaurant's plumbing.
Yeah.
So relying on just one tool for every single task is a major mistake. We need to equip your tool belt with the right specific applications.
Building that tool belt is crucial. The first tool is the one everyone knows, ChatGPT. Think of this as your creative copywriter and brainstormer.
Okay.
It is phenomenal for drafting emails, outlining social media content calendars, and, writing that initial listing copy.
But there is a massive caution flag we have to wave here regarding ChatGPT, right? Because it's not a search engine.
No, it is not. The mechanism behind how it works is really important to understand. ChatGPT doesn't actually know facts the way a database does.
Yeah.
It basically operates on predictive text based on its historical training data.
And it has a knowledge cutoff date.
Yes. So if you ask it for today's hyperlocal housing inventory or like this morning's mortgage rates, it will often experience what software engineers call a hallucination.
The hallucination.
Yeah, it will confidently predict a number that sounds entirely plausible but is completely made up.
Oof, that's a critical warning. So for live, factual data, we have to reach for a different tool. And that brings us to Perplexity AI.
Yes, Perplexity.
Instead of a creative brainstormer, Perplexity is like having an incredibly fast intern working in the local county clerk's office. It actually browses the real-time internet, synthesizes the information, and most importantly, it provides sourced answers with verifiable footnotes.
The footnotes change everything. I mean, if a client texts you asking about some rumor regarding a new commercial development going up near their neighborhood, you just run that query through Perplexity.
And it figures it out.
It gathers the latest news articles and municipal meeting notes, summarizes the whole situation, and links directly to the sources so you can actually verify the facts before passing them to your client.
That elevates your advisory role instantly.
Yeah.
Now, what about the dense document problem we mentioned earlier? Like, if I have that 40-page HOA doc or a 60-page home inspection report, Perplexity isn't built for that, and ChatGPT can really struggle with massive files.
Yeah, for the heavy document lifting, you pull Claude out of your tool belt. Claude is exceptional because of its incredibly large context window.
Let's clarify that term for a second. What exactly is a context window?
A context window is basically the AI's short-term working memory. It's how much text it can hold in its brain at one time without forgetting the beginning of the document.
Oh, got it.
Claude has a massive context window, meaning you can upload an entire inspection report and prompt it, act as a real estate advisor, summarize the major structural red flags in this report, and list the recommended immediate repairs.
Okay, wait. As a coach, I have to step in here with a non-negotiable rule.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Right. If I am uploading a 60-page client document into Claude or any AI, we have a massive privacy issue. I can't just throw my clients' personal lives into an AI database.
No, you absolutely cannot. This is a vital coaching rule for everyone listening. You must always strip out personally identifying information, the PII, before feeding any document into an AI tool.
Every single time.
Remove your client's name, the exact property address, any financial account numbers, and their contact info. Redact the PII first, then let the AI analyze the structural text, the inspection notes, the HOA rules. You have to protect your client's confidentiality first and foremost.
Strip the PII. Redact the address. Then summarize. That's a great workflow. But I noticed something interesting about these three tools. ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. They're all built for text and reading.
True.
But half of my job isn't typing, it's talking. I'm sitting in coffee shops with buyers who change their minds, like 3 times in a single 30-minute conversation.
Oh, yeah. That is where the fourth tool comes in, Otter.ai. This is your meeting assistant. It records your spoken buyer consultations with their explicit consent, of course, and provides a highly accurate transcript.
Which is nice, but who wants to read a transcript?
Exactly. The real magic is that it provides an AI-generated summary of the conversation. It pulls out the client's exact needs, their deal breakers, and their timeline automatically.
That is a massive mental relief. You never have to frantically scribble notes on a legal pad while trying to maintain eye contact and read a client's body language again. You can actually be fully present in the conversation.
It's a game changer. And Otter has a free tier to start, with a pro plan around $16.99 a month, which, let's be real, is a fraction of what a human assistant would cost.
Incredible. But knowing what these tools do in isolation is just great theory. To really coach you today, we need to show you how this looks on a chaotic Tuesday when the pressure is really on.
Let's do it.
Let's implement what we call the 4-step AI workflow in a real-world scenario.
Let's break down the operating system. The workflow is 1. Prepare, which means gathering your constraints and facts. 2. Prompt giving the AI its initial instructions. 3. Refine that back-and-forth collaborative conversation. And 4. Personalize adding your irreplaceable human touch before it ever goes to the client.
Okay, let's apply that to a stalled listing scenario. Every agent listening has faced this. You have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse. It has been sitting on the market for 47 days at $429,000.
Painful.
You've had 11 showings, absolutely 0 offers, and the feedback from buyers is incredibly consistent. The layout feels chopped up, the seller is getting anxious, they're texting you for updates, and you need a fresh approach immediately.
Okay, step 1 is prepare. We have our constraints, right? 3-bed, 2-bath, 47 days, $429K, 11 showings, chopped up layout.
Yep.
Step 2 is prompt. We open ChatGPT or Creative Brainstormer, and we don't just say, hey, help me sell a house. We give it a persona and really specific directions.
What does that look like?
You type something like, act as an elite real estate marketing expert. I have a listing that is stalled. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath townhouse, 47 days on market at $429,000. We've had 11 showings and no offers. The consistent buyer feedback is that the layout feels too chopped up. Brainstorm 5 unconventional ways to remarket this property, specifically reframe the chopped up layout as a positive feature, and identify a completely new target buyer demographic we haven't thought of.
Wow. The specificity of that prompt is incredible. You are totally outsourcing your creative block.
Yeah.
And in 30 seconds, the AI processes that and moves us into step 3, refine.
Right.
Let's say it gives you a few generic ideas, but one really stands out. It suggests reframing the chopped-up layout as defined, purposeful spaces ideal for a dual work-from-home couple who require acoustic separation.
See, that is a brilliant pivot. It identifies a new buyer, not a young family wanting an open concept sightline to the living room, but 2 remote workers who desperately need distinct, quiet offices so they don't talk over each other's Zoom calls.
That's such a good angle.
But the AI's output might be a little stiff, so you refine it. You reply, I love the dual work from home angle. Write a 3-sentence social media caption highlighting this, but make it punchy and empathetic to remote workers.
Okay, so once it gives you that punchy caption, you hit step 4, personalize. You take that text, you add a joke about your own dog interrupting your Zoom calls to make it sound authentically like you, and you post it.
And you're done.
You just solved a major marketing problem in 3 minutes instead of staring at a wall for an hour.
And even if the AI gave you 10 ideas and 8 of them were terrible, those 2 brilliant ones just saved your listing and potentially saved your relationship with an anxious seller.
That is the ultimate leverage. But, saving 30 minutes on a listing description or brainstorming a quick marketing pivot, those are micro wins. Let's zoom out and look at the macro impact. Let's talk about how this fundamentally upgrades your income and your entire career trajectory.
The macro impact really comes down to the math of your time. If utilizing these tools saves you roughly 2 hours a day on writing copy, summarizing documents, conducting research, and parsing emails, over a standard 300-day working year, that translates to 600 hours returned to your life.
600 hours. I mean, that is effectively adding entire months of productive time to your year. And the question becomes, what do you do with that time?
Right.
You don't just sit back. You leverage it to handle more volume without experiencing the burnout that usually caps an agent's career.
Let's apply this to a realistic career plateau. Say you are an agent who currently closes 20 transactions a year, and you've hit your absolute ceiling because there are physically not enough hours in the day to do all the admin, marketing, and client handholding.
You're just maxed out.
Exactly. AI scales your capacity. By outsourcing the automatable tasks, you can suddenly handle 25 or 30 transactions with the exact same amount of personal effort.
The financial impact of that is staggering. If your average commission is, say, $8,000 per deal, those extra 5 to 10 deals mean an additional $40,000 to $80,000 in your pocket annually. And you achieve that growth just by optimizing your workflow and working smarter.
But the value goes beyond just sheer transaction volume, too. It's about your market positioning. When you leverage these tools effectively, you suddenly become the forward-thinking leader in your market. You become the agent who always shows up to a listing appointment, hyper-prepared.
That's a massive differentiator. Picture walking into a listing presentation. While the competing agent is just bringing a generic, automatically generated MLS printout and a standard CMA, you are bringing deep, Perplexity-sourced market data.
Oh, sellers love that.
They do. You're talking about upcoming local commercial development changes, specific municipal zoning laws, and microeconomic trends that will actually affect the seller's property value.
You elevate your perceived value from a simple salesperson to a top-tier data-backed advisor. You look like you have a dedicated team of analysts working behind the scenes just for you. That is how you win listings before you even finish the presentation.
So to wrap up this coaching session today, we need to return to our core philosophy. AI is your productivity partner. It is your incredibly fast, highly capable sous chef. It is not your replacement.
Never.
But recognizing that is really only half the battle. You have to actually take the first step. Otherwise, this just becomes another concept you listened to and forgot.
Yeah, action is the only thing that creates the time savings.
Exactly. So here is your day one homework. Sometime today, just open one of these tools, open ChatGPT, and simply type this exact sentence. Write a short, warm property description for a 3-bedroom home with a large backyard in a family-friendly neighborhood. Just watch the cursor move.
It's pretty amazing the first time you see it.
See what it generates. Get a feel for the friction you can eliminate. Just take that first simple step.
Experiencing that moment where it generates a paragraph in 3 seconds is really the only way to truly understand the leverage you now have.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that stretches beyond just optimizing your day tomorrow. As these AI tools become standard across the business world, client expectations are going to completely skyrocket.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Buyers and sellers are going to get accustomed to receiving instant, highly personalized, deeply researched answers from AI-augmented agents. The friction they tolerate will drop to zero. So what happens to the professionals who are still stubbornly doing everything manually in 5 years? The standard of what clients consider acceptable service is about to shift permanently. Are you going to be the agent who sets that new, elevated standard? Or are you going to be the one exhausted, staring at a blank screen, struggling to catch up?